It began with the kind of polite energy that morning television thrives on: the glossy smiles, the carefully arranged mugs, the musical stingers. Timed perfectly to applause as the cameras panned across the GMA set, capturing co-hosts seated in a semicircle. Dressed to the nines under flattering lights, Meghan Markle appeared calm and radiant, sitting with practiced poise, her posture straight, her smile gentle, as if she were ready to charm an entire nation. Once more beside her, Lara Spencer delivered the introduction, her tone brisk, yet pleasant, offering a brief nod to Meghan's past before diving into what was meant to be a lighthearted conversation about advocacy projects and personal milestones, but the tension was already there, hidden beneath the surface, in the subtle hesitations and the overly rehearsed transitions, the warmth in Lara Spencer's voice was polished, but the edge beneath it shimmered as she pivoted from soft praise to a sudden question about Meghan's relevance. A question that did not sit well with the audience or with Meghan herself. The question came wrapped in a compliment, but it struck with the force of challenge. Lara asked what exactly Meghan felt her platform represented now that she was no longer acting, and no longer a working royal. The words hung in the air like thick smoke. Meghan blinked slowly, her smile barely faltering, before she replied with composure, speaking about purpose, philanthropy, and finding a voice beyond titles. But Lara was not finished. She leaned forward, her eyes bright, her tone hardening just enough to shift the mood, and asked whether Meghan truly believed she had been silenced, or if perhaps she had simply not liked the criticism that came with privilege. The audience gasped audibly, the line between journalism and judgment beginning to blur. Meghan turned her head slightly, her calm demeanor cracking ever so slightly, her voice sharper as she defended her experiences, speaking not only of scrutiny, but of dehumanization. Yet Lara pressed on, questioning the narrative of victimhood, and asking if Meghan ever took responsibility for how she wielded the media that she now condemned. The camera caught the flicker of emotion in Meghan's eyes, not tears, but something close to it: fire, defiance, pain. Whatever it was, it did not go unnoticed, and Lara seized the moment, pushing further, saying the public was tired of curated vulnerability that looked more like performance than authenticity. Meghan straightened visibly, her response slower, more deliberate, as she challenged the assumption, calling it not only unfair but dangerous: the idea that women must smile through adversity, or else be labeled manipulative. Lara countered again, smiling tightly and suggesting that perhaps Meghan mistook critique for cruelty and in doing so undermined genuine discourse. The energy on set shifted uncomfortably, producers exchanging glances, crew members stiffening as the sparring veered further from the script and into raw, unscripted territory. The studio was silent, save for the subtle hum of stage lights and the quiet yet electric tension between two women who were no longer just host and guest, but ideological adversaries on live television. As the tension in the room escalated, Meghan took a measured breath, her eyes fixed squarely on Lara Spencer, as though weighing the merit of her every word and the intent behind each question. This was no longer a morning show segment. It had become a live sparring match of intellect, emotion, and public perception, and Meghan knew every syllable she chose now would echo far beyond the studio walls. She leaned forward, matching
Lara's intensity,
but with a coolness that revealed both calculation and authenticity, saying that it was easy for those who had never lived under the microscope of global scrutiny to offer commentary. Wrapped in civility, she said, there was a world of difference between opinion and intrusion, between journalism and harassment, and that, somewhere along the way, society had grown comfortable blurring those lines, especially when it came to women of color. Lara did not flinch, though her expression sharpened, her voice clipped as she countered with a statement, not a question, noting that many believed Meghan had orchestrated her own narrative, curated every moment of public vulnerability, and turned hardship into headlines that seemed too perfectly timed. Meghan arched an eyebrow, the tension in her jaw now visible as she pushed back, saying that survival was not a storyline and that turning pain into purpose was not manipulation. It was survival and reclamation. Lara, however, would not relent, suggesting that there was something inherently performative about the way Meghan discussed hardship only when cameras were present. The implication hung in the air, heavy and cutting.
Meghan
Replied slowly, clearly, and with unflinching resolve that her choice to speak publicly had nothing to do with attention and everything to do with representation that the silence expected of her would only protect those who thrived off her erasure. She said the world had enough princesses smiling through pain, and what it needed was honesty. Unfiltered and uncomfortable, Lara crossed her arms, emotion subtle yet telling, her smile thinning, as she remarked that the public was also tired of celebrities who positioned themselves as victims while living in mansions, wearing designer brands and building media empires. Meghan paused, then responded by asking whether Lara would pose that same question to any male figure in power, whether men were ever expected to downplay their wealth in order to be heard. Lara blinked, perhaps for the first time. Unsettled by the reversal, the audience watched in stunned silence, each word between them sharp as glass slicing through the curated fabric of daytime television. Meghan added that just because her face was on a screen did not mean her struggle was less valid or her pain less real, that if anything, the spotlight magnified the cruelty, not softened it. Lara interjected, but her voice cracked slightly, betraying the steadiness she had maintained until now. She accused Meghan of leveraging her royal history only when it served her and discarding it when it became inconvenient. Meghan replied swiftly, saying that she had never discarded it. She had outgrown it, and that stepping away from an institution built on silence and obedience was not betrayal, it was evolution, and that no woman should apologize for choosing peace over palaces. The words struck hard and fast, the audience reacting with soft murmurs, unsure whether to clap or remain in the charged quiet that followed. The two women stared at one another, a long pause suspended between them until Lara turned to the camera with a scripted smile and a cue to cut to commercial. But Meghan kept speaking, ignoring the schedule, ignoring the expectation, refusing to let the moment be buried under transition music and makeup touch-ups. Asterisk.